Hey, we're on air. It worked. All right. So it is December. It's a new month. Happy December, everyone. We're going to do a quick run through of community outreach tasks for Backdrop CMS. So our goal is basically to get everybody talking about Backdrop, and there's a bunch of things we could be doing and a bunch of things we should be doing, and then there's a couple of things that we are doing, and we're going to try and talk about how we're going to get ourselves to do all of the things. So first thing that we should probably do is send a newsletter. The newsletter that I wanted us to send was specifically about the showcase section of backdropcms.org, but we haven't finished that yet. There's a node template that's like super complicated that depends on how many people have, or how many photos of which type have been entered, and kind of rearranges all of the content in order to account for that. But we don't have the initial view built yet that's supposed to list all of the showcases. So right now there's a view that just is a list of node titles. So if you want to see the showcases, you can, but the landing page isn't done yet. So we have a design for that, but we don't have any implementation. Hold on a second. I'm going to see who's at the door. Sorry, guys. Coffee delivery. All right. So we have some work to do before we can send a newsletter. And Backdrop 1.6 should be out January 15th. So it'd be awesome if we could get the work done and send the newsletter around December 15th, because then we could kind of promote whatever between versions, but we'll see if that happens. Other things we should be doing to help spread the word is write blog posts. I think the last blog post that's up there was about BADCamp. I don't know if anyone has any ideas of anything else that needs a blog post written. But if you hear of anyone that is doing anything cool with Backdrop that needs to be shared, we should definitely encourage them to share that information on backdropcms.org. Videos is also something we've talked about as being really useful to help get the word out. Brian originally promised to do a bunch of videos, since he does videos for everything else he does, but I think he's been really busy for the last few months. It's kind of ramp up ski season time right now, which means he's less available than usual. So if we have anyone else who wants to make videos about Backdrop, we can. I noticed that I did a talk at a Drupal meetup a couple of weeks ago where I did a not very good demo of Backdrop, and that video has gotten a ton of activity lately. So I think it might be good to do a better version where it was actually like planned out and maybe not live, that just kind of walks through the stuff that people need to know, so that when people go to, they're like, oh, I want to see a demo video, they'll have something that's a little bit more comprehensive and well thought through. So that's something that could be fun if anybody wants to work on it. But yeah, in general, anyone who makes a video about Backdrop, we should promote however possible so people can see it.
Is that video itself, Jen, the one that you said is getting traction? Is that one in our channel already? Like, did we put it? Okay.
It was one of those, I did a live, whatever this is, Google Hangout thing, and it auto-posted. And then everybody started watching it and talking about it. And I'm like, oh, that's not a very good demo example for people to get excited about. But
the Backdrop 1.5 demo, is that
it?
Wow, huh, that's funny.
So there's that. We could replace that with a better one, would be good. Other things we're doing to get the word out is sharing our fantastic Backdrop swag. we ordered a whole bunch of new t-shirts right around the time of Bad Camp, and people generally love them. I think we should update the website with a dark color design so that people can see what they look like. So if you want a backdrop shirt, it's available. That's a to-do item. It's really pretty simple. We just put like a PayPal form on there and it'll do its thing. We also have enough money to order another run of hoodies, which is something we didn't know until recently. I sent in a request for a quote for hoodies before we knew we had the money to find out how much it would cost. And I put in the lowest possible number of hoodies we could get to get a price break. And it was pretty expensive per hoodie. So I might reevaluate that and see where the next price break is and if we can get a few more. I know we've got a couple of people who are waiting for hoodies in very particular sizes because we're left with, I think right now we have small, medium, and large and nothing else. So it would be good to order the top end of the spectrum to make sure that we have enough hoodies for everyone of every size. We also, Nate, do you want to show off your business card? Do you have one with you?
Oh, yeah, I haven't. They just came yesterday, and I suppose I probably could have updated the issue before now. But Wes, I took one of your designs and put it into action. So now there you go in card form. I did some modifications in the way that the logo had been placed on the other side, but our branding guidelines said the logo comes after the word, which put it in the corner, which is interesting now that we're changing the site. Well, anyway, it's interesting. It was an interesting test job to try to get the cropping correct. And turns out like we got really, 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 really close there. I found a GitHub gist of all locations that told me the exact dimensions of a Vistaprint business card. And turned out it was really pretty close. So cropping, that turned out fine. I'm not 100% certain about the design. Oh, there's a back too. It's got the dragon on the back. But I only printed like the smallest quantity possible just to see how the dimensions turned out. And also I wanted to see about like a glossy print and seeing how that would turn out. Ultimately, I think that we should use somebody else other than Vistaprint. Because I asked for a glossy, and I was hoping to get a what do they call it? A spot color, like a single like black coat. But even like only using a black on this, they still did a full color print. And so like if you look closely, you can see like the individual pixels of like an inkjet printer kind of thing going on, which is disappointing in terms of quality.
Depending on how it turns out, we can mess around with that. The way I did a rich black, meaning there's cyan in the black ink as well. So it's there's two inks that make up the black. It usually turns out nice. But yeah, if it was just black, if it was just the K ink, then it might be crisper or not. Depends on all sorts of things.
Yeah,
I'm not a color expert. When I looked at that black, I almost saw a magenta in there.
Oh no, that's not right.
Some weird. There's some weird colors going on.
They might be like doing some printers will convert things to RGB and then back to CMYK because reasons. Good like professional printers wouldn't do that. I'm surprised Vistaprint does, but I know print hardware does that. Like your DeskJet on your desk would probably do that. So that's weird.
Yeah, they also so I specifically ordered this glossy print that I thought would not like glossy like a photo is glossy, but glossy like they spot gloss. And I thought that meant that the printing would use some kind of glossy ink in those spot locations, but that's not the case. There's an additional coating of spot gloss over the top, which hadn't been what I expected. And overall, the effect is kind of weird because they like spot glossed stuff like the white text rather than like, the entire black being glossy, which is what I would have expected.
They're probably, that's Vistaprint.
Yeah. So
But
anyway,
that's usually how that's done. I would expect that as the default.
yeah. Anyway, it's an interesting test run. I do think that even this, like, as you know, not perfect as it is a lot better than nothing. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through another round of testing, possibly probably with a different printer, and see if I can get the quality up a little bit, and then I'll go around and ask people like if they're down with them. Really design wise, I'm like Jen and I already went back and forth, and there's like half a dozen things that we could potentially change, like around the logo placement or whether or not it's on a black background or white background or whatever. But you know, it's like
Something's better than nothing.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. Like the ship it mentality around business cards, I think, is a good one, because this is never going to happen if we just talk about designs. I also thought, I mean, from the design, from the backdrop business card issue, everybody's kind of like, yay, they all look kind of nice, you know? And so I haven't heard anybody say, you know, that looks terrible on any of the suggestions. So anyway, so there's some progress there. I don't think that I would like to distribute these. I'd like to get a better one, because I would like, if multiple people start having these, as they should look the same, really. So
and because if you do a small run, you're going to get digital printing, I guarantee. But if you do a smaller run, you can even do multiple people, and then you could get a large run that's more cost effective than a digital printing. But yeah, non-digital
So, like,
printing
if we printed a small number for everyone on the PMC, it would be cheaper than printing like individual,
and you would get actual like
better quality.
yeah, you would get actual like printing press printing. You could.
Yeah. I wonder. I don't think that's an option with Vistaprint. It's just kind of.
Yeah.
I don't print business cards unless I can talk to the guy that gets ink on his hands, or person.
Do you have any recommendations
You
then?
know these guys? Yeah. Like,
I just walk into a print shop and I'm like, hey,
who's got
can I
ink
talk
on
to a
their
printer?
fingers? I want to talk to you.
or like someone who actually like talks to the printer a lot. Like, yeah, I don't like services where I can't do that, because they tell me lots of stuff to prevent bad prints. So anyway, I could do that if we wanted to do that.
We have a printer we use for Badcamp, Neat, that's local. If you wanted to go talk to the guy who gets ink on his fingers, and my dad has a guy too, for his business cards here in Berkeley.
And they'll also clean up the file if there's anything that they could like tweak the black to make it work better on their printer, or like things like that. That's with the real advantage with those. And It's not, if you do scale, it's gonna be just as cheap.
All right. Well, more things to think about. I'll try to push that forward a little more.
All right. That's it for things we should print. If anybody has $9,000 burning a hole in their pocket, we could get a whole bunch of dragon plushies made. But the minimum order was $900, and they're $10 each, so that's $9,000. So not really on our agenda for anytime soon. Other things we should do is advertise. We don't have a working budget, and we don't really know how much advertising is going to cost. So we need both of those things. We need to figure out how much it's going to cost, and then we need to figure out a budget, and we need to set aside money for things like advertising. But I think it would be good to do that. So if anyone has any expertise and wants to work on that, we are open to suggestions. Events, we don't have anything on the calendar immediately. I think the next event we have is February, the developer conference in Panama. And then CivicCon is in May this year, which I think are only events for next year. If anyone has any events that they are interested in attending and learning more about Backdrop, let us know. If anyone is organizing an event and would like Backdrop people to be there, let us know. If anyone wants to know about events, our website's a good place to do it. we're also specifically interested in attending events that are not for Drupal people. So if anyone has any fun open sourcey things that we should attend, we should put them on our list because they might not already be on our radar. We've got a kind of a rough list here is like OSCON, CMS Expo, stuff like that.
In the Drupal category, the Pacific Northwest Drupal Summit is in February this year.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's February 25th and 26th in Vancouver. Which who doesn't love to be in Vancouver? So it's nice that doesn't overlap. I know for years it was overlapping with Drupal, but that's a possible Drupal event for us to attend.
Okay.
Or have a presence at, because they've been friendly to Backdrop in the past.
Yeah,
sure.
Mike's up there, so that might be, he might be really interested in doing that too.
I'll be in Iceland in February for Northern Lights Camp.
Well, yeah, Camp Iceland.
Yep. So I'm not sure if they're taking sessions still, but we'll find out.
Yeah, Pacific Northwest Drupal Summit hasn't even opened for sessions yet, so.
All right, now on to the exciting stuff. Our website. This has been kind of something for a long time where it's like, we need a website, we have a website, yay. And then we kind of ignored it for a while. But it's gotten to the point where we've hit some limitations in terms of what we can do. Design with its drawer worked well for the handbook, but it's not going to work for any of the other sections that we have. So Wes has been working on a redesign, and I'm sorry I missed your video walkthrough of it the other week. But I know you started building it this week. I don't know how that's going.
Yeah, a little slow, but just getting started. So yeah, I don't know, what would you like me to talk about or walk through or whatever? Anything specific?
I'm curious to see the homepage stuff again.
Okay, yeah. Well, I will share my screen. Photoshop is a piece of junk. All right. Let me forget where I put it. Website, homepage, and then we want these ones too. And I will present that to everyone. All right, cool. So, yeah, so the first thing is that this is kind of a pitch as far as like, I don't know if some of this is going to get implemented, but like for me, it's easier to scale a design back than scale it up. So shooting higher than maybe we'll end up doing, kind of like we did for Basis. So there's mention of how to handle login stuff. So I put this bar up here. I don't really know what all we want to do with that. I did mess around with the menu a bit. There's an open issue for that. And we don't really need to talk about that, but I think it'd be wise to combine everything under add-ons. That's modules, themes, and layouts, just to save some space. While implementing, I found that search bar could totally go here, and we have one, so maybe I should do that. So I'm probably not going to design it. I'm probably just going to do it up in CSS and yeah, not worry about it. So this area, so the idea was that we could show off contributed themes or showcase sites in this area, and this little tag here might change. So this would kind of be like a little carousel. That was kind of a pie in the sky thing, but I thought the default thing could be, a fresh install. So I actually took a screenshot of a Pantheon fresh install and, finessed a couple like tiny things, like I took out site name and some things like that. But I mean, it's pretty much a direct screenshot. And then I also wanted to change this button to lead to a page that would have multiple ways you could try out Backrub quickly. And I can talk about that a little more in a second. So then moving down, one response I got asking around about the current homepage was too text heavy. And the feature section, I think, has a lot of that. And it's not that I want to not have an exhaustive list of features, but I think on the homepage, we make something as a little slicker looking. So just kind of, maybe these aren't the top 5, but maybe just five like one-word things, and then we could have tabs that would kind of explain it in a couple bullets, and then maybe like a GIF in here, and then a features page that would be more exhaustive, and probably have what we have on the homepage now, maybe with a little more detail even, and then kind of keep it with the flow of the page. If the main goal is to get people to try Backdrop, I think this is the easiest way, and a lot of people wanted to make sure we kept it on the homepage, Pantheon. So I thought Pantheon needed more of a explanation of what you were getting, so you'd fill out that form if you didn't already have a Pantheon login. I think just this little sentence here gives you an idea of why you would do that.
Yeah, that's great.
And then, now it's kind of like community building stuff. So it's kind of, hey, I wanted to get in that we're free somewhere, and also kind of get into our philosophy a little bit. And this would link to our philosophy. Get involved is like get involved with community kind of stuff. I think we could probably also add chat in here. Maybe like think about what goes in there. I'm not super happy with the design of this right now. I just kind of put it in there. I didn't really know what to expect for content, but showcase section was the idea, and maybe you're able to click through, or not click through, but like have a little carousel here, or maybe it's just you go to see them all and these are top 3 or whatever. And then just kind of keeping this stuff. Some feedback I got on the book is that it looked like it was related to news, so trying to keep that as like maybe more promo looking, and give it a little more context with like a little title here that explains, something. I don't know. Kind of gives it a little more context.
Yeah.
And also makes it look like a different section.
Yeah, actually, regarding like the heading there, learn how to use Backdrop, I think that's a great thing to include somewhere on the homepage, but I'm not sure that should be exclusively the book.
Sure.
Because we have a really current, like expanding documentation section that we might want to, like, I love that heading and the idea of featuring the book, but we should also call out our actual documentation.
Yeah, at this point, I'm just kind of mimicking what's on the current homepage. So, the We Support thing, wanted to collapse that a little bit. And also was thinking maybe a couple of the slots in the top row are maybe less random, where they have maybe bigger names like, I don't know, Pantheon or whoever, like just kind of, just to make sure that like some recognizable ones are up there and the rest of them are random or something.
Okay.
And then, form, you can just kind of squinch down there. And then Footerland. And also, I think I want to change these icons so that they don't have round. I don't like those corners or the boxes. I kind of like this style a little more, where it's, I don't know, has a silhouette.
Great.
But that's not a big deal. So I can go into the next couple pages I ended up pitching because of designing this, if that works.
Sure. Do we get any feedback on this background texture?
I don't know. I don't know if that's coming through, but here I got like a little rings kind of thing going, and then here there's like a very subtle like clothy, granity kind of thing going on.
I like the granity thing. The rings, I think, were the thing I was originally objecting to, just because it seems kind of contrary to our brand, which is trying to keep things simple. And so I wanted to see if we got any feedback from Darius, who was the creator of the brand, on whether that matters or not.
Definitely did not hear back from him. But generally the rule has been to bug him on Skype if I want feedback. So I can do that.
I mean, that could be the kind of thing where I'm reading way too much into this, but I don't know. So
Yeah, definitely trying to keep the patterns in the background. One of the first design critiques I got from one of my designer friends was like, maybe do something more with the pattern, like make it more opinionated. Like he was thinking the dragon kind of looks like Maori tattoo stuff, and like maybe I could take stuff from there. And that kind of got off in a kind of weird direction. So I'm not sure if that's appropriate, but when it was just blue, it was a little too bland, and it's higher up in the issue. You can see what it looked like then. And this is not my expertise as a designer is not this kind of polish. So more of a layout man. So yeah, if anyone wants to suggest anything, I'm all ears.
okay, well, I think it looks really great. I think Nate's feedback was good too. Okay,
this is you click download backdrop.
okay.
You go to this page, and just like on SourceForge or a lot of those sites where you download, this kicks off a download after a second or two, which is like a tag in the head to get that to work. And then next steps. So tutorials on how to install it on different systems, since you're getting just the files, which I don't know if we have. This is just kind of, again, pie in the sky. I don't know if all of this exists. And then get involved with the community. Like if they have a problem, what do they do? Just kind of like the real like support snippet stuff, like get them the links, and then maybe some other tutorials about once you've installed it, now what kind of stuff. But nothing crazy. I mean, they may not pay attention to this in this downloads, but it will clue them in that, hey, this content exists. You don't have to struggle. So yeah.
Another thing that might be useful on this page, I really like this because Jen has been pretty firm on the download button, actually downloading the software. And I've been kind of wanting a page that had more content on it that
This does
explains
both.
things. It does both, yeah. One thing that we should also add on here is other versions. Like if you want to, like the history and stuff like that. Like, I don't know, other versions or old versions. I know it's like, that seems a little silly, but there are reasons why people might want 1.4 or something like that. If it's like what their what their site is currently using or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. So the other button, oops, that's something else I'm working on. So this one would go directly to Pantheon, right? That's, yeah, hopefully clear. This tryout one. So this is another page I wanted to make. So this is what I have. And I got some feedback about this stuff maybe doesn't look as related as it should. So I have some work here, I think. But from a general wireframing perspective, big tryout backdrop CMS. And then I think the two easiest ways we have right now are Pantheon and Calabox, assuming you meet the minimum requirements. So I just wrote some copy, keeping it real simple. You're just going to have to do these couple steps. So like if someone needs a little more urging to get into Pantheon, there's just going to be these couple things. And then this might be like a GIF showing, the 3 steps. And then same here, just kind of give a hint of what's going to happen. It might be obnoxious in practice if these are GIFs, but that was the idea. And then, just giving, like, you're going to have to do these steps and make it clear that you need to follow the installation instructions because there are extra steps that might not be obvious. And and then more ways to try it out. And this might be stuff that's maybe more involved, but maybe some people aren't interested in signing up for Pantheon or getting Calabox. Maybe they want to set it up on their local or something. They already know how to do that.
I also would love if we could figure out, and this is not related to the design, but if we could actually figure out a way people could demo, like truly demo on a site somewhere where they don't, like, there isn't any steps required. We can click a button and be like, oh, hey, it's backdrop. And it says like log in with admin. Like we actually had a demo site set up somewhere. I think that should come first here, where it's like,
totally.
Hey, that would be demo. And then we
Awesome.
can put this other stuff on there too, where it's like, okay, now that you've seen it, here's how you get one.
Totally.
But
I think, as a crazy idea, do you think that we could collaborate with the Simply Test Me people?
yeah, there's an issue where they were asking, I think recently, like 2 weeks ago or something, they were like, hey, we want to know what's required for making this work with our infrastructure. And I answered a couple of their questions where I was like, it's exactly the same as Drupal. And they were like, what? So I think there is a lot of likelihood that that'll work. They were not aware of how similar Backdrop was to Drupal 7.
Huh,
So
okay.
yeah, that could happen.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, it would be nice if we could get some kind of, like their infrastructure is nice. Like I like the countdown timer and everything like that happens when it's created. But I would like it to possibly be like Simply Test Me /backdrop or something like that. Something that, because it's like pretty heavily branded with like, Drupal on their homepage. So it'd be nice to have something that wasn't quite so Drupal-y associated.
They might be open to that. I mean, I think first they've got to do whatever testing they need to do to figure out it can be supported. And then I think if it is and if it's easy, we could ask.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool. Anything else?
Great, Wes. Good job.
Cool. Stop presenting.
So in terms of building the new theme, we're probably going to run into a bunch of pages on the site that are weird. Like we've got a bunch of stuff now that, like, because we had this 2-drawer layout, we've got a bunch of sub-page layouts that also involve 2 drawers for like the user profile page and stuff like that. That we're probably, I don't know if they're going to need a whole like design refresh so much, but we're going to need to figure out how to take what we have and shove it into what we want.
Right. I think we can do that without design. Just, I don't know. Right now, my goal is get the like baseline CSS done and push that up so that other people could chip in if they have time. Just getting like basically skin.css done and getting the header right, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, because those pages we need to not have headers. So that gets complicated.
Not have header?
Yeah, because they have that background image thing. Or need to figure, you know what I mean? Figure out how to.
Yeah, just put our header above it and just moves down a little. I think it'd look good.
Well, if you think that'll be fine, then I'm not as worried about it as it was 5 minutes.
All right, cool.
So I'm not sure if you just mentioned this or I wasn't understanding. What about navigation-wise, like deeper levels of navigation? Like when we're in the handbook, where does the navigation go for the handbook?
So all the handbook pages already have a sidebar for the documentation pages, not the handbook pages, documentation pages.
Right.
So we were just going to steal that design element bit and throw it on the handbook pages as well.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Because then it keeps the line length nice and short, and you get a nice, idea of where you are in the handbook or whatever.
Okay.
So it's like the old drawer. We just move from the right side to the left side or vice versa.
And it'll just always be open on those pages. It won't actually be a drawer.
It'll be a static element. Yeah, right.
Yeah. That'll also make life a lot easier.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I think it would be handy if we could wire that up as well. Just like if Wes, if you have the capacity to make a mock of a sub page that has a sidebar, that would be handy. I know that you're just saying it that it's just like with this, just our existing sidebar, but from a developer's perspective, that it's not.
Okay. I'll probably
just clear enough instructions.
You might just do it.
Yeah, I might just do it, and then if it looks real goofy, I'll like screenshot it and move it around in Photoshop.
Oh, okay. All right. Sure. If you're, I wasn't aware that you were volunteering for implementation. That's.
Oh, he's already started implementation.
Yeah, I've already started.
Oh. Yeah. All right. That's great. Yay. So this is what happens when I am not in any meetings for 3 weeks in a row. So
What's going on? Yeah, happy Thanksgiving to everyone who's in the US. Hopefully nobody showed up for meetings, leaving their dinner table and then didn't find any. Okay, let's see. Where are we? Navigation. Do we want to talk about that now or just bike shed it later in the issue queue?
Well, I think there's a couple things worth talking about. The word handbook seems to have confused. Well, not. I thought there was a meaning for it that I had, and someone else, had a different one, and I think the original intention was different than either of those.
Yeah.
So
handbook is definitely a hard word because it brings with it a bunch of connotations for people who are coming from Drupal, who think it's a handbook like Drupal. But we tried to say, like, no, this is actually a book you could like carry around with you in your hand. Like, it should be small. It should not be like whatever. But then people don't know what that means, like what we should use it for and what should be in it. So there was a lot of discussion about like, well, maybe we should just change the name to something that's a little bit more clear as to what it is. Like everything you need to know. I don't know. There's a word for that. But,
well, I think maybe to me, it was a little confusing what would be in the handbook if it's not expanded. So there's kind of about the culture. There's like some snippet of documentation. I can't even remember what else is in there. So like
right now there's documentation in there, but that'll move out as soon as we have a documentation section.
Yeah.
So that was just kind of like, oh, what do you need to know right now? Okay, well, how to install it is important, so we'll throw that in here. But I don't know if that needs to stay there long term. And then all of the modules, themes, layouts pages, like before we had modules, themes, and layouts pages, we had to tell people we had those things. So it got shoved into the handbook, but that we have an actual user guide now. So those pages don't need to be there either. So then what's left of our handbook, if you remove the documentation and the extensions, whatever you wanted to call them, add-ons section, is just the about section. So I think somebody recommended we just call it about.
If that's the way it's going, I like that. I mean, I like having about on every site ever. I just think it's a good heuristic, or it's a good way for people to just find certain kinds of things.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah,
and I would love to, like, our handbook is a mess because it's like you say, it's like a mishmash of a bunch of different things, and things like culture and philosophy, I feel like would be better suited. I mean, it's important enough that it shouldn't be buried, and it's also like just trying to mash that into how to use the software also just gets a little messy. So Tom, who said he can't be here today because he's doing a training, has volunteered. He's the one that did like the read over our entire documentation section and help clean that up. He's volunteered to work on our handbook next. So I think if we can kind of figure out like structurally what the hell it is it should be, he'll help us get it there. Because he's like, I don't know what to do with those documentation pages that are in the handbook, so I made a copy. And I was like, well, let's not make a copy. Like if it needs to be here, let's just move it. And he's like, oh, I didn't know you could do that. So I think there's definitely like, if we can figure out what we want the handbook to be, he'll help us get it there, which is good. We just need to figure out, if the handbook should just become the about section. That's totally fine. And we move all those other things to their new homes. That's fine too.
Yep. Yeah. I in that issue, I put the kind of thoughts I was running through when I was designing, and like why I wanted certain links. So, if no one agrees, then whatever. But I thought throw out what I thought would make sense as I was trying to think through what a new user, what our target audience would see, what would make sense to them, and then what our goals are and what we want to show them.
I think that's still really useful. We just need to figure out whether that should be tied to a handbook, or whether that should just be like a user experience process where it's like, this is the information they need first and this is what they need second, and how do we get them from that first section to the second section if it's not all on the list.
Oh, I see.
You know, like I think there's probably still a way we can take all of that process and somehow.
Yeah. Yeah, and I
make it
think
happen.
like the download page gets us through some of that, but yeah. Yeah, I guess it'd be good to understand. I think you have some really solid ideas about what you expect users are doing on the site. I don't know that I understand what all the intentions were. It'd be good to pick your brain on that.
Okay, well, I'll take a look at your thoughts too, because I'm curious to see what you've come up with. And is that in the menu issue?
Yep.
Okay, navigation issue. Great. All right, so I think that's everything associated with the new redesign. Apologize for the beeping trucks, but you guys can hear those. Next up was the showcase. We talked about that a little bit. We need a design for the landing page. I mean, we have a design. We need the design to be built, which I think is pretty simple. I think it's just one screenshot and a snippet of text for each item. We can definitely do that, but I would also love it if we could get some decent content written for each of our items. I was thinking about talking to somebody who actually writes content like for professionally to help us come up with the kinds of things we should be asking people on those forms in order to get the kind of content we want from people. Like rather than giving them a body field, if we ask specific questions, we would probably get better content. So we don't have to do that right away, but I think it's important if we start showing people what people are doing Backdrop that that's a good first impression. So soon, hopefully. We also could optimize our site for search results. Again, that's the kind of thing where we just need to do some busy work going through the site and fixing meta tags and similar, which we can do now that there's a meta tag module. Yay! So I did last week.
Search Console is awesome for that, and I
What?
just got it hooked up.
Okay. Great.
So yeah, whoever wants to do that, let me know and I can give them access.
Okay.
I think Nate has it. I don't think you're in it right now, Jen.
Okay. I'd be curious about it. Adding more information about our culture. We have an issue specifically about that. I haven't looked at that recently, but I know Jack wanted to write up some information about that in particular. Then we have the support section. So the support, I think, it's not done, but it's done enough to be published, but we don't have anywhere to put the link because it was supposed to go under support and we don't have an under currently. So I don't know if that's what I would call that blocked by our new redesign, but we might have to stick the support link like in the main menu temporarily. And I'm not sure how people would feel about that. If it's temporary, is it okay to just put it there just so we have it? Or is it better to not have a link at all until we read? I think we should just add it.
What link? Support?
Support. Yeah, to
It's
the
already in
documentation.
there, isn't it?
Oh, sorry, the documentation section,
Oh,
which is supposed to be under support, but would just be a top level link until we have our new redesign.
sure.
Okay. We'll talk about it today in the big meeting and see what people think too. And then once we get the support section up and the showcase section up, we're going to start working on the forum. Maybe, hopefully, and turn on single sign-on with GitHub. So anyone who has a GitHub account doesn't have to create a new Backdrop account just to log in the site. All right. There's also some other thoughts here about if we combine, this is kind of crazy, we were going to combine modules and themes and layouts into a top level item called add-ons, But we were also going to do that in Backdrop the software. So Backdrop 2 is what we were originally thinking. We would have a top level link called add-ons that would handle modules, themes, and layouts, and then like the installer could live under there and all of that stuff that Updater goes together. But if we're going to be doing that on our website now, then that doesn't have to wait for Backdrop 2. So it's a thought. And we also wanted to set up specific landing pages that could target people of particular audiences. So to hit points that are particularly relevant for nonprofits, we might have a page that's like, hey, nonprofits, this is stuff you care about. Might be different from the stuff that people land on the homepage are there for. And same thing for higher education or a blogging site or whatever it is. Like if we could figure out our audience groups, we could write content that was specific to them and we could give them a path directly in to land on that page. I don't know who our specific audience groups are really yet, other than nonprofits. But I think that's something that we could study, and if we learn the answers to, we could build. But a thought. Anything else website related we should talk about? We're kind of almost out of time. Maybe is there anything else at all you guys want to talk about outreach related? No. I'm really excited about the new redesign. Personally.
Yeah, it's looking great, Wes. Okay, yeah, let's wrap it up so we have a couple minutes before the dev meeting.
Okay. Well, thank you guys for coming, and we'll see you in a few minutes.
Okay. Yay, thanks, guys.